On this episode of the Post-mortem podcast, we talked to Matt Volm, who is the CEO and co-founder of RevOps Co-op, which is a community of 13,000 RevOps practitioners. We go through Matt's post, which is titled 8 Things You Never Hear RevOps Say, and also the hilarious video that accompanies that post. We get into topics like ridiculous asks made of RevOps practitioners, definition of RevOps versus sales ops versus marketing ops, changing definitions of funnel stages, vanity metrics, taking a build versus buy approach to your tech stack, when to automate versus when to do things manually, building slides for the board, pushing changes to production, and a whole lot more. It's definitely one you want to check out. All right, I'm joined by Matt Volm, who's CEO and co-founder of RevOps Co-op. Matt, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Appreciate the invite.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to do what we do, which is share Matt's post over screen share here. And I'll go ahead and read through it. And then we can just get Matt's take right after that. So the post, let's say, is titled 8 Things You'll Never Hear RevOps Say. And I'm just going to go through each individual bullet point here. So number 1, yes, I can and should pull that super simple report from our CRM for you. 2, I totally agree. Let's call me RevOps, but only have me do sales ops things. 3, you're right. We should change the definition of an MQL so we can hit our quarterly targets. 4, nope, I'm not stressed at all and everything is super chill at work. 5, yeah, I'm basically IT here. I can totally help you with your laptop problem. 6, that sounds like the most complicated way to do things, but I agree. It's definitely the right way. 7, that's a great idea. I'll create the board slides for you so you can just change them to look better. And then 8, the last one here. Yes, I can drop everything and push those complex CRM changes through straight to production by this afternoon. And then you have what you add, but maybe we can get into that a little bit later. And then finally, you have this video where you pour an entire glass of wine into a glass. It seems like I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah,
so today I learned.
Oh, how's everything going at work? It's really good. Things are actually like totally chill, not stressful at all. I mean, I have like all of the resources that I need. I have our marketing, sales, and CS team perfectly in sync and aligned. And our tech stack is definitely not a dumpster fire right now. Everything's working as expected without any failures. So yeah, things are totally good. Not stressed at all.
Oh, what's this? I got a huddle coming in from Zach, one of our account executives. All right, let's see what he got here. Hey, Zach, what's up? Oh, yeah, man. No, I'm basically IT here. I can totally help you with your laptop problem. So what's going on? Oh, okay, yeah. Have you tried restarting it and turning it back on? Okay, cool. Glad that worked. All right, let's get into this. Check out Slack and email first thing in the morning. All right, what is this? Looks like I got a Slack here from the VP of Sales. Hey, Matt, will you pull a Salesforce report for me that shows all open opportunities with a close date in the next quarter? Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, that's not like the most basic request that you can totally do for yourself. I got you. I'm always down to pull those reports. Not like I've got anything better to do. I will do this for you right away, sir. No. I'm really glad that we got on this Zoom meeting. This is exactly what I wanted to accomplish. So that sounds like the most complicated way that we can possibly do this. But I agree that is 100% the correct way to do things, and we should absolutely do it that way. All right, yeah. So no, I'm totally on board with this. Actually, really glad that we got on this Zoom. So, all right. So you want me to create that custom object, add that property, build that flow. Yep, I'll be able to do all of those things this afternoon, 100%. And yes, I will immediately push them into production. Absolutely no need for me to use a sandbox or test this before we deploy anything live. So yeah, I'll get it done right away. It'll be out there for y'all to use within the afternoon. Sound good? Yeah, no, okay. I totally get it. Yep. So I'm gonna get off the phone right now. I'm gonna go ahead and create the entire board deck, everything that you're asking for. I'll send you those slides by the end of this afternoon so that you can inevitably present the whole thing and probably change a bunch of the information that I also send your way, but that makes total sense. And yeah, I'm totally down to field all of the questions that come from the board and investors afterwards. Not a problem at all. Oh man, okay, got a huddle coming in from our VP of marketing. Let's see what they want. Hey, what's up? Oh, yeah, okay, hang on. So, all right, so let me get this straight. So we're running behind on our quarterly target for MQLs. Yep, okay. All right, so we're gonna change the definition of an MQL so that we can hit our target by the end of the month. Okay, yeah, no, totally makes sense. I think we should totally do that. Yeah, so tell me, how do you want to define an MQL now? No. Hey, listen, it is totally okay. That makes total sense, and I agree. Let's give me the job title of revenue operations, but I do not need to own the entire customer lifecycle. Let's essentially just have me be doing sales ops, but we'll call it RevOps. And marketing and CS, they can totally be off doing their own thing. No need for us to be on the same page. I completely agree. That totally makes complete sense to me.
Let's go back to you, Matt. And I just wanted to know, okay, what was going on in your mind? What triggered you to write this LinkedIn post?
So mostly, I guess, like all great things, it was more, I won't say on a whim, but recently with LinkedIn, I've just been trying to do more, I don't know, call it interesting, sarcastic, more fun, like non-businessy things to post. And so I was actually just like on a plane. The Wi-Fi wasn't working. And so I was like, all right, I'll just think about like, let me brainstorm some ideas on LinkedIn posts that I could do. And I was like, oh, this would be fun. Like, let's just do a sarcastic take on, like things you'll never hear RevOps say, things that we've all experienced, but, you'll never necessarily agree with. And so I just started jotting some stuff down on the plane ride. I don't know, maybe over the course of like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then after I got home over the next couple of days, I think it took me maybe an hour to just like do the video and stitch it all together and then get it posted on LinkedIn. So that was how things got started, which again was more on a whim than anything else.
Yeah, and it looks like, I'm just pulling up the numbers here, 612 reactions, 92 comments, 25 reposts. So clearly resonated with people.
Yeah.
Did you expect that kind of reaction, or is it unfounded?
No, not at all. I mean, I've had some of these things go, like, call it viral in the past. I think this one, when I looked last, was up to like 65 or 75,000 post impressions. And I know I've had some in the past that have, gone upwards of 100,000 before too. But no, this was one of those things where, again, I just thought it would be fun to do. And so I just wanted to put it out there on the internet.
Yep, cool. Well, clearly resonated, and let's get into some of that, hopefully without causing too much PTSD for you. So the first point here is, yes, I can and should, in parentheses, pull that super simple report from our CRM for you. I've definitely been guilty of asking RevOps when I could totally do the report on my own as a marketing person who knows Salesforce or CRM quite a bit. So maybe you could expand a little bit more on this like simple asks that are just like kind of throwing something over the fence to RevOps, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think at least for a lot of RevOps practitioners, and I mean, we've got 13,000 plus folks in our community. I think, most have been there, right? Where you log into Slack in the morning, or maybe you're going through your workday, you get that Slack DM from, it could be anyone, right? The VP of sales asking for, hey, can you show me a report of like open pipeline for the next quarter? And it's like, okay, that is literally the most basic thing that any CRM on the face of the planet can handle for you. But sure, in the time that it took you to write that post, like you could have clicked another button or two and like been to not just a report, but like the dashboard that shows you all of these things. And so, yeah, it's those super simple requests from folks on a variety of different teams that I think, every RevOps person has experienced, right? Getting that Slack DM or getting that email request.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on to the second point here. I had a follow-up, but let's just continue moving on. I know we have short on time. So number 2 is, I totally agree. Let's call me RevOps, but only have me do sales ops things. I think this is a pretty hairy topic. The whole thing, topic of RevOps versus sales ops versus marketing ops versus some other ops. So how do you define the two or differences? And wondered if we can get your take there on RevOps versus other ops.
Yeah. Well, I think so. Part of what spawned this one is I've heard some folks make. It's not a lot of folks, but some folks that can be loud on places like LinkedIn, pushing for this whole thing of like, well, let's like RevOps is just sales ops, so let's do a new thing and let's call it go to market ops, right? And that'll be like the whole thing, right? And I think like just rebranding stuff right now like that and just doing the same thing, like that's not going to produce any different outcomes, right? And so for me, like RevOps is the collection of marketing ops, sales ops, and CS ops. It is ownership and accountability of all operational functions that drive revenue for a company. And RevOps as a responsibility exists at every company on the face of the planet that has revenue. It's just a matter of where you place those RevOps responsibilities. In this case, like sales ops, especially over the last how many years when so much of the focus of companies has just been to grow through new business and new logo acquisition, it was natural then for RevOps to mostly be focused, or really easy for companies to focus RevOps just on supporting the sales team. But that is not the market that we live in anymore, nor is that the environment that we should live in. And so, yeah, while it might be easy to say, hey, you're RevOps, but we're going to have you report up to the VP of sales and you're just going to do sales ops thing, you're not doing your business any good. You got to go through the hard part up front and figure out how you can drive ownership and accountability for your RevOps team and function to truly be accountable to the entire revenue engine, which is marketing, sales, and post-sales, the entire customer lifecycle.
Yeah, really well said there. Moving on to this next point 3. This one is one that hit me really hard. We should just change the definition of an MQL so we can hit our quarterly target. I'm not going to say I'm guilty of this, but I have changed the definition of an MQL for a good reason, and it was actually tighter to make it look worse. But then I found myself always having to go back and explain this blip on a chart to the board many, many times again, and it was just like the biggest headache. So I'm super hesitant to change definitions of funnel metrics, whether it's MQL or some other definition. But I'm curious to get your take here on and maybe some horror stories from the past.
Yeah. Well, I mean, change is inevitable, right? Businesses mature. The way you go to market changes. The way you market to prospects, to your customers, changes. So I think it's natural to expect that your definitions are going to change, and they should evolve, right? Like the way you define a MQL when you're first starting out as a company and maybe you only have one product and you're only like going after like one region or one vertical, right? Like that should not be the same as when you're, 10x bigger and you have a more robust product line and you're selling into a variety of different markets. And so things will evolve and things will change. But I think it's human nature, right? Especially if you are, call it like behind target or you're missing target and you're working hard and you're trying all these things, to be like, well, we're just not defining things the right way, right? Because we are doing all this work and we are delivering all this value. And so, like the sarcastic part is like, well, let's just change MQL to anyone who visits our website that we can identify, right? Or in your case, right? Like, let's change the definition to be something that's even tighter, right? Might make things look a little bit worse. So yeah, I think like things will change, things will evolve, over the course of one time period. If that's a month, a quarter, try to look at things the same way, right? Not change things like mid period. But you can't expect your business to stay static for forever. So you can't expect your metrics or your definitions to stay static forever either.
Yeah. My recommendation there is to try as much as possible to change it at a time period when it's like the beginning of the fiscal year
100%.
Or some end of month or end of quarter at the very least. But you got to change the definition to match what the business needs. So sometimes it happens in the middle of a week. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. So the next one here, number 4, is nope, I'm not stressed at all and everything is super chill at work. I feel like this should be accompanied with the everything's fine meme with the fire in the background.
Yes.
I don't know if there's much more to say here other than just the RevOps has a ton on their plate.
Yeah. And I think in the video I specifically was like, my tech stack is not a complete dumpster fire. Marketing and sales are completely aligned, and I have all the resources that I could possibly need to do my job efficiently and effectively. None of those things are ever true with RevOps at any company, right? There's always some variation of, horribleness across the spectrum there. So yeah, the everything's fine meme is a great embodiment of that statement.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, number 5 here, moving quickly along. So it says, yeah, I'm basically IT here. I can totally help you with your laptop problem. I remember from the video, you just saying reboot your machine and it worked. And so, sometimes these IT requests can totally fall on the plates of RevOps. So I'm sure you've had some experience here, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah, right. You're the one who owns the go-to-market tech stack, right? Salesforce, HubSpot, your CRM, your marketing automation tools. So naturally, maybe the new salesperson or the more junior salesperson, they come to you with all their Salesforce problems. And so, yeah, laptop's not working or, something else isn't working. They're like, well, the only technology that I use is handled by RevOps. So RevOps, why is my hardware
But Matt,
not
it's
working?
stopping me from creating pipelines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you look at it that way, it should be the RevOps problem to solve.
Yeah, totally. So number 6 is that sounds like the most complicated way to do things, but I agree it's definitely the right way. So can you expand a little bit more on this one? I'm sure you've been asked some crazy things.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I'll say with this too is I think this is one area where RevOps can have the tendency to do things like this as well. And actually, maybe I'll start there. Right? We've all seen the memes of like, could I spend 10 minutes manually doing this thing, or could I spend the next 5 hours trying to figure out how to automate it? And RevOps is very much guilty of that as well, right? Like they know how all these things are connected, how the systems are connected. So naturally some new problem pops up and it might be like the fun thing to do, right? To like, oh, I want to build this thing in this like kind of super complicated way, but definitely need to dial that back. And then the flip side is, with RevOps supporting a variety of teams, I was thinking of, like the whole notion of like lead routing and territory management, territory design with this, right? Where, if you've ever been in those scenarios with a sales leader, right? Where they're, it's like from the Always Sunny, right? Like that meme that pops up. It's like, well, if this lead is from Philadelphia and they're a dad with at least 2 children and they went to college here and they like sports, then we're going to send them over to Andy, who's like the sales rep that covers this territory, right? And it's like, you can tend to get like super complicated with stuff, like that. And again, so like try to boil all that stuff down and just think like with this, whether you're in RevOps or supporting a team that tends to go this way, is like, if you had to solve this problem today in the next hour, what would you do? And like start there, because that'll strip all of the complication out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I have seen instances, which actually at scale, I do think this kind of makes sense, that actually break down territories by zip codes within a city like San Francisco that has a very dense population of startups. Like territories are literally broken down by like a border of where zip codes were, which I was like, wow, this seems like very detailed and intense. So I guess you could make the argument that that's necessary at some points, but that seemed like a little bit of overkill to me when I remember at the time.
Yep.
Cool. So let's move on to the next one. So 7, that's a great idea. I'll create all the board slides so you can just jump in and change them to look better. I feel like this has happened to you in the past. I'm probably guilty of changing the slides. So tell me about this one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm thinking back to my own experiences, right, where you pulling slides on things like pipeline generated, largest deals that we have open and active, other things like that, put them into a board slide, send them off to the VP of sales, and then, things get changed, right? It's like, oh, well, no, this deal is actually like bigger, and like, oh yeah, no, this one that was moved to close loss, like this is actually still open and I'm still talking to them, and like, oh, this one, like I know this is the amount and it's in this stage, but it's actually bigger and it's actually further along. And it's like, well, what's the point of having a CRM if like all these deals are actually just in your head, right? And again, it's like, communicating things to the board, obviously a sensitive sort of topic, and you want things to look good, but you also need things to look, like realistic. And those are some of the things that I think we've all been through. That's just a sales specific example on the RevOps side.
If I can add my own 7B to this, I would say that the one pet peeve of mine is just inconsistency of reporting to the board or reporting in general of, okay, this month to the board, this metric looked good. We reported on MQLs, but then the next month or the next, board meeting, it looked bad. So now we're going to report on pipeline because the MQL from the last month turned into pipeline. Like, I feel like that happens a lot. And as a board member, it would drive me nuts to not have consistency there, look at trends over time.
100%.
Any thoughts on that? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's always you're always trying to present the best story to your board members. And I've been on both sides of this, like the startup CEO presenting and like the ops person supporting an executive team. And there's like a threading of the needle there, right? Where you're like, okay, we've got to make sure that we're presenting things accurately and realistically, and we're not just like completely making this stuff up. But we also need to make sure we're telling like a good story, and that we're peppering in the the poor things, right? Because you never want anything to be a surprise either. So there's a threading of the needle there for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, on to the last one now, number 8. So yes, I can drop everything and push those complex CRM changes straight through production by this afternoon. Tell me about this one.
Yeah, I mean, tech stacks are complex, right? Like the CRM is typically the center of the universe for every go-to-market tech stack that is out there. And it has been built and stitched together and band-aided together, and there are integrations and there are flows, and it's a whole nother basically like developer environment. And when you're an end user of that and you're just seeing the automations that are there to support you and make you more efficient, just doing something even like adding a simple field, you're like, can't you literally just go and do that like right now? But the truth is, like, that could literally break a lot of different things, and adding something new means you got to hook it up to new things. And so there's just tons of complexity that can go in there with something that seems like such a simple request. And a lot of that work happens behind the scenes by your RevOps team and your systems admins and your technical people there. And that's never seen by the light of day from the end user. So there can be a big disconnect between, again, some of the things that the team needs and expects versus what RevOps can actually deliver on.
Yeah. I feel like even when you do have all of that rigor on, putting something into the sandbox, testing things out first, and you change the name of a field or you add a new field or something like that, and you think you have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted, that when you put it into production, there's inevitably some sort of report or dashboard or something that breaks. And so even in the best case scenario, you still have to like come back and do some QA on it. So yeah,
100%. And I'm one. I'll be the first to admit I test in production. I have tested in production. I like to test in production. I like skipping those steps, saving that time, right? Like once you get to a certain size and stage and you have a certain tech stack and environment, right? Like you simply that's not a good idea. But I think, again, if you're in RevOps, you can get away with a lot by building, testing, deploying in production. But yeah, the speed of which you can do all those things, again, like it can't happen in a snap of a finger for all the reasons that we just talked about.
Yeah, you mentioned something around, that this is kind of like similar to a developer. I think this point 8 here is, developers that also want to not test in production and, run, fork things off into different, I can't even I'm not coming up with the right developer language here, but fork things off into different instances so you can test staging environments.
Yeah.
The other thing that you brought up before was the ability to, let's see, which point was this? Build versus buy. I feel like, RevOps wanting to do things in the most complicated way when it could be done more easily or be done with a solution is also kind of like a similarity to DevOps. So I wonder if you view RevOps as kind of like a counterpart, like a go-to-market counterpart to, developer type of mentality in go-to-market. I don't know if you have any thoughts there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the answer is yes. I mean, the way that I view kind of RevOps is, you're responsible for making sure that the people, the process, and the technology that you use are essentially all aligned and doing the same thing, supporting each other, right? So your tech stack isn't way out here doing these things that aren't aligned to the people that you have doing them and the process, the work that they're actually doing. So your job is to align all of those things. And a big piece of that is making sure the technology is in sync. But again, it's definitely not the only part. And yeah, the whole notion of like build versus buy versus even just doing things manually. I think like for RevOps, it's all about where do you start and then how do you grow or evolve those things from there in the most efficient and effective way possible. And that's where the value of revenue operations comes in.
Mm-hmm. So that covers the post. I know it was quite a while ago, maybe like a month ago when you actually wrote this. I'm wondering if you remember any themes in the content comments or any comments that stood out. If not, we can totally skip over that part. But yeah, I wonder if you recall anything like that you maybe missed or some themes. Yeah?
No, the stuff that I loved was most of the comments that were just like, I feel seen, or like this, like
yeah.
this video sums up my entire career. And I think like, again, that's the stuff that's fun, right? Like you try to, no one has a perfect job. We all have challenges, with our jobs and the companies that we work. And so it's fun to like, kind of poke fun at some of those things. And so the fact that they resonated with people, I think is the best thing.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of people are just commenting like this one really, you really nailed it on this one. I have totally done this before. Kind of
and
thing.
Sydney, you see if you scroll up just a little bit, Sydney Waterfall, her and I.
Oh yeah, I know Sydney from Revenue Vital, or Chris Walker's thing. Right?
Yeah. So yeah, her and I used to work together at Ally, which is where you can see it's she commented, why does this remind me of trying to get free trial data into Marketo at Ally? That is one experience that I'm still wounded by, because again, you're like, people sign up for our free trial. I just want to get that information into our like other tools, right? Like marketing automation tools and like, but that alone is a lot more complicated than you would ever think that it would be. And so like projects like that, again, end user versus builder, call it developer, right? Like that's where there can be a huge amount of disconnect.
Yeah. You're talking to the right person with that. I am the one who started as the growth marketing lead at Segment in 2017. I only knew Marketo, and I was like, we got to get Segment data into Marketo. And that was a huge point of contention across everyone who worked at Segments, and I caused tons of headache. And I feel so bad for all of the RevOps and product growth people who are working at Segment for me making that decision. It was totally the wrong decision. I should have used HubSpot. I apologize. But yeah, I totally know this one, and it hurts.
That is exactly what we tried to do as well. So makes sense that we're in the same boat there.
Cool. Well, Matt, it's been cathartic. It's been great. Thank you so much for walking us through this. Can you let people know where to find you, how to follow you, all the stuff that you should be plugging, and yeah, let's leave with that.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely feel free to connect. Follow me on LinkedIn. Try to post something daily. Once a week, I try to post some sort of fun video content like this. You can always, if you're interested in joining our community, we have a free membership option. You can join the community RevOps Co-op at RevOpsCoop.com. We've got 13,000 people in there from all across the globe and a whole slew of programs like a Slack group, newsletter, digital events, in-person events. And then we also have started doing an annual conference as well, RevOps AF. Yes, the AF stands for what you think it does. And you can learn more about that at RevOpsAF.com. We just wrapped up 2024, which was in San Diego in May, and we're going to be doing 2025, probably late April, early May in a different city or location that we're finalizing right now. So RevOpsAF.com is where you can kind of get on our email list for the conference and stay tuned on that.
Yeah, easy one to remember. Thanks so much, Matt, and have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin.